GearNetwork.com.
The following is a presentation of the Gear Radio Network.
From wherever we decide studios, broadcasted live on iTunes, Spreaker, and worldwide, this is the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast with your host, the producer, Pat G. The G stands for Gangsta. And now kick back and get ready for the eargasms.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast. We are back after a little bit of a 2-month hiatus because myself and Dan, we have adult life things. Dan was out being a Spartan, running races and destroying mountains. Me, I was sending out interviews and demos and stuff, trying to become a sportscaster. So we finally caught up. We have episodes, and it is a September 2021 edition of the State of Wrestling.
State of Wrestling.
Because you know what? Like I said, 2-month hiatus. We got a lot to cover. The first thing that we're going to cover is AEW versus WCW. Now, a lot of people out there within the internet wrestling community and wrestling fans, they've been making posts, whether it's via Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, whatever your social media device may be, choice, so to speak. And they're showing the comparison or the same things that WCW did that AEW are doing. Now, to be honest, not gonna discredit that or say it's wrong, because this is the thing. Yes, AEW is on TNT. Yes, they are bringing in guys that, quote unquote, made their money in the WWE. Not to mention, they now have 2 shows in a week with Dynamite and Rampage. Dynamite being the main show, Rampage being the secondary show, as well as having a owner with a lot of money. To be honest, that's as far as the comparisons stop, because after that, there are no more comparisons. And even the comparison, they're just signing former WWE guys. To be fair, the only real WWE talent that AEW has truly signed that was a WWE guy is Miro, Christian Cage, and Mark Henry. Outside of that, everybody else made their name somewhere else. They just made money. They were just made money in WWE/NXT. Fight me if I'm wrong.
You're not wrong on this. And in fact, one of the things that I have been saying about AEW and the way that they use their, I'd like to call them veterans, is unlike what happened in WCW, infamously the way that matches were done and, creative control, as, we've heard about in numerous documentaries. The older talent didn't put over the younger talent like these guys are. And each one of them that has come in has kind of adopted a section of AEW and are working with it. I mean, let's be honest. Sting and Darby Allin is like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. That is the perfect mashup. Back in the old WCW days, you had Harley Race as a manager, sure, but none of the older stars really tried to prop anyone young up, with the exception of probably Page and Goldberg, So,
and even at that juncture, Page was in his late 30s.
Yep.
As well was Goldberg.
Yeah. So you got to look at it from the perspective of, man, Christian working with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus is a huge deal. Chris Jericho working with every single person on the roster that he can find to have fun with and make money. I mean, MJF is on the map after his feud with Jericho.
Yeah,
and Jericho has made people around
is
him.
Taking that rub that he got from Jericho and using it to help elevate Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to bash it, it's cool to bash the competition. It always has been. Let's be honest. Like, there are people who are bashing WWE saying, oh my God, because you're releasing all this talent, you're killing yourself. And then CM Punk makes his triumphant return and selects AEW and sells out an arena based on a rumor. You know what I mean? Like, AEW knows how to do it. And I think people are being dismissive, almost like we want to see this fail so badly with no real reason as to wanting to see the company fail. Because a lot of guys are getting exposure and getting a chance to be on TV and becoming superstars.
Yep. And then if you really look at it, now AEW's been around for 2-3 years now.
Yep.
If you really look at it, that first year that AEW was a thing, majority of their roster outside of Chris Jericho, most people never heard of, or
nope.
Unless you were a true wrestling fan and you know who Kenny Omega was, you knew who the Young Bucks were, you knew who Hangman Adam Page was. But this is the thing: nobody knew who Orange Cassidy was. Nobody knew who MJF was. Nobody knew who Nyla Rose was. Nobody knew who Britt Baker was.
Nope. No one in the mainstream knew who they were.
Nope.
A couple of acquisitions and some goddamn good storytelling from some major wrestlers. And you began hearing about these. I've told you the story of my dad messaging me the day after Britt Baker got bloody.
Yep. Her match with Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. And was like, did you see the main event of AEW last night? I'm like, this is my fucking 72-year-old dad watching AEW and thinking that their fucking matches are insanely good. So, like, the demographic is all over the place and it's drawing eyes. And I hate to say it as a fan, you kind of saw that in WCW where there was definitely a glass ceiling. And then you hear about it later on that, oh yeah, there was definitely a glass ceiling. Like, you were never going to get Chris Jericho versus Sting. You were never going to get, Rey Mysterio versus Randy Savage. You were never going to get those matches.
No.
So at least right now, I mean, there's a Shawn Spears, Darby Allin, Sting, Tully Blanchard match, like, waiting to happen right now.
Yeah,
I mean, talk about putting guys over.
Next week, they're during the big two-night event. It's Sting and Darby Allin versus FTR.
Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. I mean, you cannot tell me that they're not. And yes, FTR were former WWE guys, but they made their name on the independents and they've wanted to work with this caliber of talent. And you're in the ring with Sting.
And Sting took a spike pile driver of all things.
See, like,
and sold it like $1 million to just make FTR that much more dangerous.
Yeah. And this is the thing that people need to let go of. You want to see something fail so badly that's giving you an opportunity to have an alternate form of professional wrestling. Like, you want to sit there and complain about shit that WWE does, but you're not happy if you have an alternate. And just try to leave all the bitterness of bad storytelling and internet dirt sheets. Just leave it to the side for 5 seconds and just try and be a fan again. Because
not to mention the forbidden door. Come on.
Yes.
Freaking
Fucking Suzuki.
And yes, there was the Suzuki incident. I know a lot of wrestling fans were like, yo, what the fuck?
I heard about it from my friend Carol. Shout out to Carol for being there that night. She's a Suzuki super fan, and she was pissed.
Oh, so many people were upset.
I get it.
And then that led into a match because you have Moxley and Eddie Kingston taking on Suzuki and Murder Hawk because of their former alliance with Suzuki Gun.
See, and this is the strangest. If I saw a meme a couple weeks ago, and it was, if you went into a coma in 2017 and woke up today, your mind would be blown. And it was CM Punk, Edge, Daniel Bryan, and there was like a couple of others. And it's like, holy shit, my mind would actually be blown that Roman Reigns being a loved heel now. It's like, yeah, your brain would be exploding in your head. Like, we've finally, as fans, kind of got the stuff we wanted. Like, our Christmas wish list is kind of full. Kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing is, you have these wrestling podcast hosts out here bashing AEW for using New Japan Pro wrestlers because I don't know who these Japanese wrestlers are, nor do I really care. And then on top of it, you have other people that are out there that have a great following in social media, whether it be TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, or whatever, making statements of going, oh, I've never watched New Japan Pro Wrestling. I need to check that out. Where have you been? Where have you been for the last 5 years? Where were you 4 years ago when Jericho showed up in New Japan Pro Wrestling to bust the forbidden door open? You have people that you have wrestling fans that make these statements. I'm sorry, and I understand that. Yeah, yes. In the United States, we tend to get spoiled because for the most part, all we knew, and this is and like I said, it's 2021. So most of these guys that are doing this now are wrestling fans, and all they know is WWE. That's all they know. They would probably watch the network and all the specials and everything, and they've learned about WCW and they've learned about ECW and everything. But living through it is a completely different thing than just watching it back after it's happened 15 years ago. We're now in a time of wrestling where anything is possible. The WWF used to say never say never, or they used to be the tagline, anything is possible, or whatever. Now in 2021, there is, to the point where, you know what? Maybe at some point, if WWE and Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn get the stick out of their fucking ass, maybe you can actually have something be created and make one of them super shows that we haven't seen since the early 80s.
Dude, that'd be so dope. Like, a super show would be dope as shit because, all right, now we're assuming that they can work with whoever, right? Like, let's say Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You literally could have
Briscoes versus the Usos, the best tag team in Ring of Honor versus arguably the best tag team violently wise, that could match that kind of a thing, unless they put them, or New Day. I mean, there's Dalton Castle versus Roman Reigns. Come on, that'd be dope.
Yeah, people have put together, people are making, now that AEW's basically number two. They are number two. I'm sorry, they are number two. They're the second biggest wrestling promotion in the United States. Okay, people are putting together like dream matches between the AEW roster and WWE roster, and I'm going, okay, that's cool and all, but it's like some of the matchups are like you've already seen them. And you've already seen them, especially like referencing Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and everything. Like, like honestly, the only true dream match that I would love to see if there was ever a massive super show is three guys: Cena, Omega, Okada.
Yeah, well, I've been pushing for the Cena Okada match for a long time, and I mean, my friend Carol, once again, shout out to Carol, said Tanahashi versus Cena would be much more colorful. Because Okada to me is the John Cena of New Japan.
Yep,
like he's the shining star. And no matter where the belt goes, the big money match is his.
Yeah. The big thing with is now that you've had Suzuki show up on AEW television,
right?
I'm very curious to see if Okada shows up, considering his history with Omega.
I think
because right now, as it stands, you're heading towards a match between Omega and Danielson, not for the title. It's just a straight up, let's see who the best wrestler is.
Yeah.
Let's see who the best wrestler is. And the internet wrestling community, for those that actually know who he is and know what New Japan Pro Wrestling is, if Okada shows up to have a face-to-face with Omega, the mind's blown on the internet.
Or, like, I know that another match between Okada and Kenny Omega would be off the charts, the Rainmaker versus Best Bout Machine. All right, I know that would be dope. But so would Okada versus Bryan Danielson.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're describing that, and I'm sitting here being like, man, what if Okada showed up after Bryan Danielson wins? And for me to say his name out loud like this again sounds really weird because this is the first time I've had a conversation about Bryan Danielson.
Don't worry, you're not alone. Don't worry. But
right.
both me and Tommy have at least called him Daniel Bryan at least once.
Yeah, and I'm kind of sitting here. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be weird. Like, this is going to be weird for a little while.
As Tommy says, shout out to Tommy. He is now Daniel Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, like God. Oh my God. And I love his new merchandise. The plain shirt that he doesn't wear. He doesn't wear his own merch now, I guess.
Yeah, the plain white t-shirt.
Yeah, it's like a plain white t-shirt. He's showing up literally to kick the shit out of you. He doesn't want to sell a t-shirt. He wants to punch you in the face. Like, this is going to be a really good fucking time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, absolutely. This upcoming week, AEW is going to put on they're going to have amazing shows Wednesday and Friday. But then if you look at the flip side of WWE, now WWE has tried their best to combat the departures of Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole to AEW. A lot of people are going, WWE's dead in the water. They're not going to do anything. WWE, at this point, WWE no longer cares about the true pro wrestling fan. They don't care about the true pro wrestling fan. They care about the people that are in that in the crowd. Somebody made the statement of WWE is now going to be family-friendly entertainment with enough adult entertainment to keep mom and dad around, because their target audience is the 12-year-old girl who wants a Lily doll and the 11-year-old boy who wants a carrying a cross helmet. And I think it might have been Bully Ray that said it on Busted Open Radio. I think that's where I heard it from. To an extent, he's not wrong, because that
WWE has always geared itself towards children, but also had gripping adult-like content in some of their even back in the raging 80s. Like, let's be honest, Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man Randy Savage at WrestleMania 5.
The Mega Powers explode.
It was a almost 2-year story in the making.
Yep. You got lust in your eyes, Hogan.
You got lust in your eyes, Hogan. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like that's the fucking hilarious part, is that you had clowns in that and all sorts of acrobatics and shit, but you had like a soap opera, hardcore going on. So WWE is going through what I like to think of in a positive way, is they are combating by doing a lot of changing. Like Big E cashed in Money in the Bank.
Yep.
And is the WWE champion right now. Okay. That is amazing, because he went from Florida Championship Wrestling, getting called up in 2012, having weird ass bodyguard style gimmicks, and then forming the New Day, and then being arguably the best homegrown stable WWE has ever done, because 2 out of the 3 of them have been WWE champion. They have the largest record of tag team championship wins. Yep. And they won individually during it. Kofi Kingston had Kofi Mania. Xavier Woods, United States champion during that time. They had some tremendous runs on both shows, flip-flopping back and forth. Dude, it's great to see Big E finally get his deserved championship. Like, give that man the fucking world.
Absolutely.
Roman Reigns has now been well over 1 year of his championship reign, as they're taking his character against the Demon at Extreme Rules, and then right after that, Brock Lesnar in Blood Money Mania, whatever. But
which is hilarious, which is hilariously funny, because they announced the Demon versus Roman Reigns for Extreme Rules, which is September the 26th. Yep. And then announced that it was going to be Roman versus Brock at Blood Money 7 or whatever it is in Saudi Arabia. And people are like, oh, so you're kind of already giving away the fact that Roman's going to keep the title. And then they issue the statement of Roman Reigns will face Brock Lesnar if he is successful in defending versus Finn Balor at Extreme Rules. And I'm going, all right, nice save.
Yeah, but if I may, a Brock versus Balor in Saudi Arabia match would be pretty dope. The Royal Rumble match a few years ago was pretty goddamn dope at the beginning of 2020. I'm sorry, 2019. 2019 Royal Rumble. That match was pretty dope. I mean, look, the company is not going anywhere. Like Pat G said, they're gearing towards a different audience. That's awesome. You're still getting some great talent during this. You have the renaissance or the resurgence of Randy Orton's career with RK Bro. He's been around almost 20 years, coming up close 20 years on WWE television. Okay. He's putting over Riddle, much like some of the veterans over in AEW are doing with the talent, over in AEW. He's making Riddle a bigger star, and they're going to tell a long-term story with this. It's like you still have those guys who can perform and do it at a high level. they're not going to let the ship sink. Sure, you can argue that there's no good television on WWE, but then you go and watch, Roman versus Edge, and then follow that up with Edge versus Seth Rollins. And you're just seeing this great artistry and storytelling and matches being told. And to say that those matches aren't that good because it wasn't on AEW television, I don't buy into that. Still storytelling, and there's still great action.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the thing is you now have it to where AEW is giving the fans what they want. With CM Punk made his debut in the United Center for Dynamite. And then the story came out that Fox was willing to pay part of CM Punk's salary. But the lack of communication from WWE kind of made Punk go, all right, you guys aren't as serious as you say you are. I'm going to go over here.
Yeah. He's going someplace where he's having fun. Like to talk about, because there's no way you can, talk about the state of pro wrestling without mentioning the fact that CM Punk sold out the United Center in Chicago based on a rumor that he had signed a contract. They filled that thing to the rafters based on a rumor that maybe CM Punk signed a contract. They opened the show with him. The ratings spike. His t-shirt literally crashes all of the servers for ProWrestlingTees.com. Okay. And they had to wait a solid week almost until you could order the CM Punk shirt. And he gave away free ice cream bars. Dude showed up with ice cream bars.
Yep, he did.
All right. He gave everyone an ice cream bar. It took him a while, but he finally got the job done. Let's give CM Punk some credit for 10 years of perseverance on ice cream bars.
Yeah. And then on top of it, you have the build to All Out. And All Out was an amazing show. You have the debut of Ruby Soho in the Women's Conceal Battle Royale, and she ends up winning. People were happy that Ruby showed up, and she's getting an opportunity to be herself, to be more of herself. And there were people that were upset with it, and I'm going, oh, the people are going, why are they just signing all these WWE guys? Once again, the names that debuted at All Out made money in WWE. They were not WWE grown talent. They made their names elsewhere beforehand. ROH, PWG, Shimmer, so on and so forth. But the thing is with Ruby Soho winning that Battle Royal, it now gives Britt Baker a established name to work with that will do even more for Britt Baker than Thunder Rosa could have done.
Yeah, Thunder Rosa was an entirely different beast. That was an entirely different style. And one could argue that Ruby Soho does have the time to know how to time out a match for television.
Yep.
And the nuances that come with being in the big production of WWE and NXT. NXT, gotta give her credit for her NXT run. Now, people need to also remember, it's not like she's in her late 30s here. She's in her late 20s, and she's in the athletic prime, and she's going to go out there with Britt Baker, who is very similar in the age and time, maybe not experience, but just being around the business, maybe through osmosis with her husband. The thing you have to remember is they're signing younger talent. It's not like they're completely dried up. Also, you know what I mean? It's not like, oh my God, if they take a bump wrong, their hip is going to explode.
Yeah. And this is the thing is Ruby Soho is only 30 she's only 30. She just turned 30 this year. She's still plenty young.
Yeah.
You have and then of course you get to the main event and you have Christian Cage taking on Omega, and then all of a sudden you have Adam Cole show up, which all intents and purposes, if Adam Cole didn't show up, I was going to be honestly shocked. Just because of everything that we heard with all the news, all the reports coming out of WWE, them realizing that his contract ended 6 months sooner than it should have. So someone over at WWE and NXT screwed up for the first part. And then the second part was, okay, you want to bring Adam Cole up to the main roster and you want to make him a manager.
Allegedly.
Allegedly make him a manager. He was going to be a mouthpiece. I don't know who he was going to be the mouthpiece for. He was going to be in like that Leo Rush type role that Leo Rush had with Bobby Lashley. And then the big thing was that WWE wanted Adam Cole to give up his Twitch channel. Adam Cole told him to piss the hell off, because Adam Cole was not going to give up the Twitch channel. So it was going to be very surprising that he didn't. The big surprise was Danielson showing back up.
Yeah, it had been alluded to by Punk in an in-ring interview when they started chanting yes. But
not to mention pictures of the man's shoes having the initials AC, BD, and then BW on them.
Yeah, and I mean, all we need now to make it super official is for Bray Wyatt to show up, which apparently is going to be coming up soon. And that's another one. Like they're angry at WWE for getting rid of him, but they don't want to watch him on another wrestling show. What are these guys supposed to do? Are they supposed to give up pro wrestling forever because WWE released them? Oh, maybe they'll call them back for one night, to do a spot. It's like, no, these people are still great storytellers. Arguably, Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotundo is one of the, which you might as well get used to saying that name now too out loud, is a tremendous storyteller. Everyone would agree. Just like Miro. Miro is a tremendous professional wrestler and a super over heel. Okay,
absolutely.
To not utilize those kind of talents that can tell stories in their own way, in a way that for Miro is long gone, and with Bray Wyatt is goddamn as close as we're going to get to an Undertaker this generation. Hey, I'm all for it. I want to see that character develop. Look at Malachi Black.
Yep, absolutely. And then on top of it, you have the likes of Christian Cage showing up, and yeah, he took the Impact title away from Omega. I honestly believe that Christian Cage is going to drop the Impact title to Ace Austin when they face off for the title, because then it's going to be on a Impact grown talent. And Cage will be able to do what he needs to do. He'll establish a younger talent to be the base of a company, because Christian Cage is quote unquote a legend. And
I would like you to think about what he just said, ladies and gentlemen. That man just said that a wrestler from a contracted wrestler from another promotion is wrestling for the title or with the title of an opposing company and facing one of their homegrown talent in 2021. You're welcome. Think about how crazy that statement is that Padgett just made. The fact that we have two wrestling companies that should be going against each other working together like this, and you have a talent like Christian Cage going in there and lifting all of this young talent up, that's how it's done. It's weird that it's happening in two companies.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing where that's the difference that we have with pro wrestling. In 2021, you have all these all these people going out and showing up different places and trying to help grow. The one big story that came out today from Fightful is several of the NXT stars contracts that have come up recently. And that's due in part to they declined signing contract extensions when they were offered them back in 2019. The big one is Johnny Gargano's, who his contract ends in December. Adam Cole, who of course said went to AEW. Pete Dunne, who has reportedly re-signed, and there's other stars coming up. Gargano is among several NXT roster members who were offered new contracts in fall of 2019 when WWE was re-signing and restructuring a lot of deals with the arrival of NXT on USA. And, of course, the premiere of AEW Dynamite. Many stars ultimately signed on to new or restructured deals, but Fightful notes that, according to a source, there was little incentive for top NXT stars to re-sign for long-term deals, as the rates being offered were nowhere near what main roster deals were being offered. The situation did not just involve top names. Adam Cole passed on the offer in 2019, but the site notes that further down the card and others who were not even being used on TV had passed. So I think that's right. When I saw that story, I think that is one of the reasons that you have seen the redesign for NXT, and the thing has gone out that they are no longer signing independent talent. They want to grow their own talent, and you saw that start Tuesday night with the debut of Rick Steiner's son.
Yeah, what are they officially calling it?
They are calling it NXT 2.0.
And what are they calling Rick Steiner's son?
Hold on.
Is he a Steiner? Are they?
No. He's not a Steiner.
He looks like a fucking
he
Steiner.
is Braun Breaker. That's right.
Braun Breaker.
Yeah, Braun Breaker. Looks like, I'm going to say this. He looks like his dad, and he sounds like his uncle.
See, that's the thing. Why wouldn't you call that Steiner? Come on, man. I've seen him. And he's even wearing the super bright neon colorful singlet. See, y'all are fucking up. But I do have to say, for the first time in decades, okay, WWE had a wedding on their show that didn't turn to utter crap at the end.
Factual. Completely factual.
Okay. This is the first time, probably since Macho Man and Elizabeth, that a wedding ceremony took place on a WWE show. They both said I do, and no one got hacked to pieces with a hatchet.
Nope.
I will agree with Johnny Gargano on this one. Man, sometimes you just want to watch a stalker marry the woman he loves. And it's such a beautiful fucking story.
It is.
There's no denying that it's one of the best ones.
Speaking of Johnny Gargano, have you seen the gender reveal video that him and Candice LeRae did?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so obviously Candice LeRae's the news came out a couple of months ago. Candice LeRae is pregnant. They did a gender reveal video today, or at least I saw it. Johnny Gargano finds this black balloon, and Candice looks at him and goes, she's like, give me that. And he's like, why? She's like, that's the gender reveal balloon to reveal the gender of their baby. And he taught, and like after some questions or whatever from Johnny Gargano being Johnny Gargano, he tosses it at her. She catches it, and their little dog comes up and must have bit the balloon and popped it, because then all of a sudden the camera goes to the side, and you see Candice LeRae just covered in blue powder.
Oh, they're having a boy. That's awesome.
They are having a boy, but it was just hilarious how they did the video.
Okay, can I give them credit for doing something that I think is pretty cool? Candice LeRae is like popping. She's showing. You clearly tell she's like pregnant.
Oh yeah,
right. And she's still involved with the storylines.
Yep.
As being
her
super
contract,
pregnant.
I know her contract ends later this year, I believe. And she even requested, she's like, I understand I'm pregnant and I can't do anything physical, but I still want to be involved.
And to see her and Johnny Gargano's faces during that entire ceremony.
Yep.
Was, dude, I'm sorry. You really need to take advantage of that one. Don't let their contracts expire. Sign them to new deals and put a camera in front of them, and they will be hilarious.
Yeah, because they both get what WWE is.
Yeah.
Like they want characters that can get themselves over, but also are good in the ring.
Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae are like Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then on top of it, like WWE's done so much with character development lately. Look at Baron Corbin, for crying out loud.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, it kind of sucks WWE made fun of homeless people. But what they did with Baron Corbin, telling this long story about the loss of the crown, and then like coming out and losing his music and having like fans hand him money because he's broke. And then he gets money from, you say it, I can't say it. I can't say who gave him money in Las Vegas. Just can't do it. Can't do it.
I'm just going to say he got money in Las Vegas.
Yep. And then he got rich again. And now he's balling. And the funny part about it is he went from that, like suit and tie, like stupid, dress shirt and slacks gimmick. Okay. Completely tore that away and was rebirthed into this baller gimmick with like a white pimp Darby hat.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, I could get behind this guy being WWE champion now.
Yeah, and this is the thing is, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I hate Baron Corbin," and this dude, Baron Corbin is the 2020 edition of The Miz. Baron Corbin is taking absolute garbage and turning it into gold, because the Miz has been doing that for years.
He made the crown mean something when Shinsuke Nakamura became King Nakamura.
Yep.
Like the King of Strong Style. He has been like those who know remember the giant crown that he would wear out to the ring in New Japan, like that goddamn mirrored beautiful thing he would wear. It's like he kind of felt weirdly naked without it. He loses the crown, right? A king gimmick is kind of hard to pull off because you constantly have to do the regal stuff. But then, like, he would be the butt of jokes from everyone. Remember, he was a strong, tough dude to the Man and the Rock.
Yeah,
man, dude got called an STD on national television. If my mama watched me get called an STD on national television, she would yell at me for letting them do it. Like he's taken some shit. And like you said, he's taken that shit and turned it into solid gold because, he had the Money in the Bank opportunity, lost the Money in the Bank opportunity. He's had a chance to really like refresh this character. And he's yet again one of those guys that benefited from being on television during the pandemic every week and being someone whose character you still were able to follow, so that when he went into this broke bum character, it made complete sense to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Long-term, slow burn storytelling.
Yeah, and this is the thing, and they're doing and both AEW and WWE have been doing this slow burn storytelling, because look what AEW just did with Chris Jericho and MJF.
Yep.
With the matches, and then Jericho having to go through like the trials to get to MJF, and then finally Jericho finally succeeds in beating MJF. Granted, the way that match ended could have been a little bit cleaner, but still it got the point across. WWE is doing the same thing. You have Finn Balor challenging Roman Reigns. Finn Balor, valiant effort, can't get it job done. Finn Balor shows out with the demon. And then, of course, WWE has their own PR disaster with Becky Lynch coming back and the whole nonsense that was SummerSlam with that situation. And then, of course, the return of Brock Lesnar and Fox not being Fox going, we got Brock and Becky Lynch. Cool. NBC Universal going, hey, what are you guys doing over there? They were not happy. So
I mean,
WWE having to try to make amends with NBC Universal going, we're gonna have a draft in October.
Yeah, like, we're gonna fix all this. Don't worry. Okay. And even the long-term storytelling leading into this match at Extreme Rules was laid down, because you have to remember this all dates back to when John Cena showed up.
Yep.
And Roman Reigns refused his challenge, took Finn Balor's challenge. Then John Cena and Baron Corbin, King Corbin, whatever.
Yeah, Corbin steals the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Yeah. And I mean, but you had Finn Balor get robbed.
Yep.
Then Finn Balor's like, hey, yeah, I don't care about the big muscle guy over there that's got a meat hook. I want my match. And he gets his match, but he didn't tap out.
No,
he was choked out. He did not tap out. Everyone else is tapped out. So what happens? You bring back the demon in Madison Square Garden. And that right there was a huge, huge test. Because if he came out at Madison Square Garden on September 10th and it had been crickets, or the reaction was like lukewarm at best,
yeah,
dude, that was that would have been the last time you see the demon in the garden.
Yep.
That pop that entrance got, and the stare down, and the way Finn Balor uses that character now for intimidation.
Yep.
Dude, this is going to be
especially because he is Prince Devitt.
Yeah. Everyone knows it's Prince Devitt. Like, we have that version of his character on SmackDown.
Yep.
Get it over hard, and then send him over with the WWE Championship to Raw.
Yep. And then let him, and then, because on top of it, you have him beat Roman for the title, because there's many people that have said there's no way that you don't have Roman drop the belt at this point, because it's the demon. The demon's undefeated.
Yep.
When Finn Balor goes to that place, no one beats him.
Nope. Only time that is having steel cage main event NXT, and it was in NXT when he was getting called up to WWE. Yep. But as far as WWE matches where the demon is involved, no matter where he goes, no matter what continent, no matter what show, Demon King shows up, he wins.
Yeah, and then on top of it, you have Balor win the title. He goes on to the Saudi Arabia and has another match with Brock Lesnar. And at this point, you've had Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar. Imagine the Demon versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, the Demon versus the Beast.
Yep.
I mean, and these are all possibilities. And the cool part about it is that there's other long-term storytelling that they're doing right now that I don't think people are picking up on the either fully
because
or
they're
appreciating
also
it.
Because the storytelling is also working towards Survivor Series.
Yep. And we all know Survivor Series really lays in those seeds for what is going to be WrestleMania. And one of the seeds that has been planted is John Cena versus Finn Balor. So you have future storytelling taking place. And now it's believable that Roman Reigns as this bloodline character could fill the AT&T Stadium in Dallas for WrestleMania this year.
Yeah. And then on top of it, there's people going with Big E winning the WWE championship, which Big E is now the 4th African-American champion in WWE history. And him beating Bobby Lashley was the first time that the belt exchanged hands between 2 African-American wrestlers.
Yep.
So, and now people are going, oh, well, this is perfect for Survivor Series because now you can have the New Day versus the Bloodline. Which I'm like, I'm not mad at.
Dope. Oh my God, that would be dope. But yeah, but then Finn Balor wouldn't be champion. God damn it. You know what? But to have that match right there, or even just Roman Reigns being like, bitch, I was champion for a whole year and change. Like, you've been champion for what, a month and a half? And then there you go.
Yeah, and we all know the rivalry that Usos and the New Day have had. So
book that shit now, WWE. You steal our ideas anyway, and I'm still waiting for my.
On top of it, if you want to talk about long-term storytelling, is AEW is doing the same thing because there's that outside possibility of the Elite being Kenny Omega, Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, and Gallows and Anderson. So Omega, Cole, the Young Bucks, Gallows, and Anderson, which is 6 guys, and that facing against the team of Bryan Danielson, Lucha Express being Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, Christian Cage, and potentially a 6-man, which if you really want, you could put CM Punk into it for the Stadium Stampede.
I forgot that's coming up. Yeah, that would be one hell of a match. Or the Forbidden Door is open. We could finally get the Elite versus the Bullet Club.
Yeah, you could get that as well.
But I kind of want to see Bryan Danielson kick the shit out of Kenny Omega down a flight of stairs or something. That now that I have a visual of that actually wins. We're gonna go with that one.
Well, you'll get your chance because they are having a match Wednesday night.
Oh, so good. God, I love being a wrestling fan.
Yeah, they got the big event coming up this week. And then also side thing, the last Dynamite, Rosario Dawson of all people jumped the barricade and attacked Malachi Black, which was fantastic.
You know what? That's what Jedis do, motherfuckers. There. That's what happens when you mess with Ahsoka.
Yeah, so let me see. What do we got?
That's hilarious, actually.
Yeah, she like jumped on his back.
That's so dope.
Um,
Man, there's so much Star Wars nerd love right there that is oozing from me.
yeah, she jumped on his back and then allowed Cody Rhodes to come out, and they beat the hell out of each other around the arena.
Nice.
So but yeah, they have this giant like special episode coming up. I can't remember what the title of it is.
It's the New York one, correct?
Yeah, it's in New York. Grand Slam. There it is. Yeah, Arthur Ashe. All right. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, it's taking place at the Arthur Ashe Stadium. So let me see, go to their Twitter because they got all the matches. Okay, so Wednesday night, which is Wednesday night, which is next week, Rampage. You're gonna have Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson, which is next week. Let me see. I know tonight they're with Rampage, which goes live in about 40 minutes here. You got the Lucha Brothers defending the tag titles against Butcher and the Blade, which is going to be a hell of a match.
Damn, that's gonna be brutal.
You got a face-off between Britt Baker and Ruby Soho, and then you have Miro versus Fuego del Sol, who Del Sol's putting up his car.
Aww.
For another title match. But yeah, it's Grand Slam card. Yeah, the card is over 2 nights. It's crazy. Let me see. So Dynamite's gonna have Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black.
Nice.
CM Punk live interview. MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. Eddie Kingston and John Moxley versus Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki. Dr. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho for the AEW Women's World Championship. FTR versus Darby Allin and Sting. And then Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson. And then on Rampage, the Rampage Grand Slam, you're going to have Adam Cole and the Young Bucks versus Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. CM Punk taking on Powerhouse Hobbs. And then Men of the Year, which is Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page taking on Chris Jericho and Jake Hager.
That's a stacked card.
For 2 nights? Oh,
both
absolutely.
For two nights, that's a damn good card.
Yep, Dynamite. And that's 3 hours of television. So they're essentially breaking up a pay-per-view in 2 nights.
Yeah.
Because that's a pay-per-view type card.
But I've also noticed that when they bust out the pay-per-view matches, they're not something that you think you'd want to have seen until you're watching it. And then you're like, holy shit, this is worth every bit of the $50 that I just paid for.
Yep. And then what's great about this is, and I made the statement to Tommy before, is AEW has your big 4 pay-per-views every year. Like they
Revolution, Double or Nothing,
yeah,
All Out, and what's that 4th one?
Yeah, so there for 2021, Revolution was March 7th, Double or Nothing was May 30th, All Out was September 5th, and then your last event's going to be Full Gear in November.
That's right, Full Gear. Thank you.
Yeah, so they have your 4 major pay-per-views, and then they do these big name shows for like Dynamite that are on the same that are all like pay-per-view type events, but in the same light as what the old WCW Clash of the Champions shows were. because they had pay-per-view type matches on there, but it was free. It was on cable television for free.
And the other thing that they're doing along with setting that up and doing that is pretty soon you're going to have guys that were made within the company main eventing these shows.
Yep.
Like Sammy Guevara versus fucking Darby Allin again. Like it happened at Revolution, but that's been several years. They could intersect later on down the road for like major titles. That's
like
laying the groundwork for
like
some huge stuff.
AEW has a very strong quartet as far as their main guys in a couple of years, and that being MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy.
Yeah,
because all four of them are in their early 20s, and they're getting experience and the rub from legend type people.
And if you want a prime example of this, CM Punk versus Darby Allin from All Out, was one great damn match. Like, I don't want to swear a lot on this podcast, but man, was it so good. And especially considering, like, dude, he was off for 7 years and he comes back and has that good of a match and makes that kid look like $1 trillion. And I mean, Darby Allin has had feuds with, a lot of performers in AEW. It's like he just keeps elevating his game. And, there's going to be an opportunity where, little kids are going to want Darby Allin Halloween costumes, which won't be too hard because it's face paint and a suit jacket. But the point is, like that's MJF is so goddamn over as a heel. He could be one of those dudes that could be another company transcending, much in the way of, I don't want to give him like super credit, like a Rock or a Hogan, but definitely Austin level when it comes to influence outside of pro wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. And then you have, it's just the amount of younger talent in AEW that's getting to work with all this talent that's had years of experience on the independents and in WWE, learning how to work television matches. They're just gonna learn and get better and better. And WWE, I think, has finally learned that they need to create some actual younger talent. And I think that, and I know a lot of people are against it, with the reports being Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn are taking over NXT. And they're not going to sign the independent guys anymore. You're going to see guys that are developed. Like they started that Tuesday night with Rick Steiner's son. He had the opening match against LA Knight, which was a victory. And then at the end of the night, they closed out the show with him having a face-off with the new NXT champion in Tommaso Ciampa, which that face-off had the same energy that the face-off between Undertaker and John Cena had years and years ago. The established veteran giving respect to the new kid on the block.
Yeah, because Ciampa really was a timestamp for a lot of NXT fans. A lot of the ones that know some of the talent now, like if you think about it, after Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, and Shinsuke Nakamura all got called up, there was one era of NXT. They were the era right after it where it was the transition of Drew McIntyre, who went back up to main roster relatively quickly, and a couple guys like Aleister Black, Malachi Black,
Ricochet, guys like that,
those guys. Really, the next major timestamp was like the Tommaso Ciampa, Gargano, that whole era of NXT, which is kind of how it ended, with Karrion Kross and Samoa Joe. That was kind of like the last step of that old guard coming back and just one last little push towards the end of it.
Yeah, before they truly made NXT a territory where guys are going to have to prove themselves and build themselves up.
Yeah,
and learn and quote unquote learn how to work in the WWE system. But to be honest, NXT 2.0 was a good show. It was a different look for what's now the home of NXT. It's no longer known as the Capitol Wrestling Center. They lit it up with bright lights and white walls, and now you have a guy that could be the face of the NXT 2.0 in Braun Breaker, who comes from a very good legacy of wrestlers with the Steiner brothers, being the son of Rick Steiner and the nephew of Scott Steiner. And like I said, he looks just like his dad and sounds like his uncle.
Oh my God, yeah, he does. He looks like him in his WCW time, like the NWO time, but like with the 80s neon spandex.
It's like a fusion.
Oh my God, that's hilariously awesome. He needs a leather jacket now. If you can make one, if you can skin like 3 cows together and make a leather jacket for him to be like that, that'd be brutal. Dude, I mean, it's a great time to be a fan. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. And, it's leading up to a lot of big events soon. Like WrestleMania is not very far away if you think about it. Like now's going to be the time when they really start dotting their I's and crossing their T's and setting up all that. Yep. But then, NXT just keeps, my hopes alive that maybe during this revamping, they'll find some talent and they'll be able to tell some great stories. And then AEW with their work with New Japan, Impact is killing it. It's like, and MLW is getting a pay-per-view. MLW is having their first pay-per-view coming up. Like, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Yeah, and of course you just had the NWA had their pay-per-view where you saw Trevor Murdoch become the new NWA heavyweight champion.
Yep, finally beating Aldis.
Finally beating Aldis, and then Aldis giving him the respect and saying that Harley Race was not wrong about him. Like, and then of course you have Ric Flair showing up at NWA 73 and cutting a promo, which was super amazing.
I mean, you can always count on Ric Flair to show up to the show and be Ric Flair.
Oh, absolutely. It's the thing of we are now in September 2021. We're getting close to Survivor Series. We're getting close to the end of the year. Fans are back in the crowd. The crowds are back, cheering, booing, screaming, signs, all that. You have tons of people debuting and changing companies and guys returning after long hiatuses. If you're a wrestling fan and you're not excited for what the next 6 months to a year could have in store for wrestling, then you need to stop being a wrestling fan. And for those out there that are your quote unquote stay-at-home WWE fans, that's cool. I'm happy for you. Broaden your spectrums. There's more great wrestling out there outside of WWE. Simple as that. It's easy to find.
Also, if you could all stop trying to be like super dicks all the time, that'd be great. If you could just stop being dicks, and enjoy what you have. Just like saying, Rosario Dawson.
Like seriously, they're because come on, this the big thing has been like this anti-Big E movement about people not liking him having the title because he's a comedic wrestler. Go on the network, find NXT, look up NXT back from like 2015, maybe 2016, and watch what Big E Langston was doing. Hell, type in Big E Langston in the Google machine with NXT and watch matches.
Yeah,
and you'll understand why there's people out here happy that he's getting this opportunity.
I'm not arguing that. Like, Big E's a great performer. It's just he has played a character very well.
Yep.
For an extended period of time. Now he's going to go back and be the character that he used to be. And we kind of got samples of that during his Intercontinental Championship run. And the best part about that is that some of his matches with Apollo Crews pretty damn good. Like,
yeah.
He could he could hold his own and play the sympathetic babyface, even though he's like 400 pounds of muscle and booty. Apparently I did not realize that there was Big E booty appreciation pages. I typed in Big E in Facebook and I got some weird ass pictures. Just saying. Him, I never thought I'd see booty pictures of him in wrestling gear from shows, but fans take them. Freaks. But yeah, I mean, it's a phenomenal time.
Yeah. It's just one of the things of just enjoy the product, watch all you can, and stop being dicks, plain and simple. So that's how we're going to end the show. For Dan, this has been Pat G. This has been the Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast. You can check us out on the social medias, TBTR podcast on Twitter. Follow our Twitter. You can check us out on Facebook, and we'll be updating this show probably over the weekend, maybe upcoming this Monday. But until then, be safe, be healthy, be kind, and we will see you on the flip side.
The Turnbuckle Talk Radio podcast is brought to you by Gear Network and ShopGear.com. We can be listened to via Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and everywhere else you can get your podcasts. The TTRP introduction was done by Trevor Dugan. The show is hosted by Patrick Gancheski and Daniel Roberts. Post-production of the TTRP is done by Patrick Gancheski and John Cimino. If you'd like to follow us via social media, you can search Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast on Facebook. You can follow us at Twitter by using the name Turnbuckle_Talk. Or if you have questions or concerns, you can reach us via email at turnbuckletlkradio@gmail.com. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Turnbuckle Talk Radio Podcast, downloading our episodes, following us on social media, and interacting with us.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.